Hi, intuitive viewers, and welcome. I am so thrilled today to introduce you to Kayt Raymond. Kayt is a coach for executives and CEOs teaching authentic leadership, but she is also an angel communicator. In 1996, her life was profoundly changed by a meeting with a group of angels. And although she was not an artist, she was compelled to co-create and paint with the angelic beings by her side as her colleagues and friends. She has had exhibitions of her art in galleries in Sydney and Melbourne, and over the years has become an angel communicator through her art and also conducts angel workshops since 2003. She also facilitates personal angel consults for people who would like to ask questions and have conversations with angels through her. So welcome, Kayt. It's so nice to meet you and so nice to welcome you to Intuitiview.
Well, thank you, Kim. I love your show. I'm delighted to be a guest.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled that you're here. I have probably a million questions, but we'll see what comes up. I wanted to start actually from the very beginning, because I know you had a story as a young girl about your sister coming, and that kind of was, it sounds like that was kind of your first experience with kind of communication from somewhere else other than here. So could you tell that story? And then could you also talk about who you were kind of before this meeting with the angels in 1996?
Okay, well, you know, I was 3. My mother was pregnant. It was before the days of our ultrasounds, you know, and I would walk around the house and say, little Anne is coming to stay with us. And every time, you know, friends came over for lunch or cups of tea or whatever, I'd say, little Anne is coming to stay with us. And they'd say, how do you know? And I'd go, as a 3-year-old, I just knowed. And of course, they would roll their eyes, you know. And of course, when the baby was born, it was little Anne. And I said, well, I told you. And my father wanted one name, my mother wanted another. And I was like, hands on hips saying, but it's little Anne. So she ended up with 3 first names, including Anne. Now, as I grew older, I and others around me had no idea that I have what has been called a gift. Mm-hmm. And so I was very close to God during my child and teenage years. But then I left the church I was involved with and became completely secular in my existence. You know, I had no contact with God. And I was running it. I worked in the corporate world at senior levels. And, you know, I was a corporate strategist and a change agent and authentic leadership coach for CEOs, as you've said. And I was running this huge project in the Barrier Reef, which is a coral reef system we have here. And there were 70 organisations involved, and I had to bring it together. That was my job. I was facilitator and chairperson. And amid this fascinating project, I would fly up to Queensland every Sunday night and stay there most of the week and fly home. This was, you know, a world first in terms of these types of projects. And despite all that, I had this yearning for something that was missing, and it didn't make sense to me. And I had dinner one night with a woman, Wendy Craig, who was in charge of the Barrier Reef. And I said, well, look, would you question me? I must know what this yearning's about. And so finally, at the end of a couple of hours over dinner, I heard myself say, you know, as a child and teenager, I had a real relationship with God, Great Spirit, divine source, universal intelligence, whatever you want to call it. I just don't have that now. And with that awareness, I thought, well, how do I reconnect? I didn't understand that my heart's yearning was calling to the angels. I didn't know that. And so So I went to bookshops. You know how you hear stories of people going into bookshops and the book's on the floor at the page, and they get a message from the page. So I would go to bookshops and I'd look around the floor first and then look at the books, and nothing happened. And then, I was living with my then husband in Sydney, and I like to go to Balmoral Beach, which is a harbour beach, and walk along the beach. Anyway, I was prompted this Sunday afternoon to go for a walk down along that beach. Now, I'm not the sort of person that just calls in on your call and say, is it okay for me to drop by? However, this day I knocked on a friend's door, and he is a public prosecutor and a spiritual healer. And he said, "Oh, how lovely to see you. Come in and have a cup of tea." So I came in and I was sitting there, and he said, "I've got a message for you." And I went, "Oh, good." And he said, "You should meet my friend Susan." And I said, "Why?" He said, "I've got no idea." And I said, "Daryl, is that all you've got?" And I said, "Well, where does Susan live?" And he said, "In the Blue Mountains." I said, "I don't go that far on my holidays." And anyway, he said, "Look, as luck would have it, Susan's calling in about 20 minutes. And why don't we just have a cup of tea and wait for her?" Now, I've since understood, Kim, that this is called an angel arrangement, right? Where they get all the parties together, yeah? So Susan arrived. She's a beautiful young woman, probably about 35. And she had what I've come to understand, medium's eyes. And, the eyes that sort of look right through you and see beyond you. And you've got them. And, anyway, we were sitting talking, and she said to me, "Angel Cassandra would like to speak with you." And you've got to keep in mind that I was your padded shoulders, your blue suits, your gold buttons to take me seriously sort of executive time.
Right.
And I looked at Daryl, and as much as to say, "Who is this fruit loop?" and he sort of nodded like it's all right. And then I said, "Look, Susan, with all respect," I thought, stop being judgmental, be polite. So I said, "Look, Susan, with due respect, I see Daryl, you, your young son, and me. Who's Cassandra?" And she said, "Well, Cassandra is an angel I channel." I went, "Oh." And she explained that she's a trance medium where the angel could come into her body and talk. Anyway, to cut a long story short, Angel Cassandra said to me, Susan passed on this message, "We would like to talk with you, and we would like to work with you, and maybe have us paint you." And can you believe I said this? I went, "Can I think about that?" And so what started to happen was, in my experience, if angels give you a message, they don't give it to you in your mind. They give it to you in your heart knowing. And so what started to come to my heart knowing was, keep these hints. What hints? Anyway, so I got out a little plastic pocket, not understanding I was at the beginning of a major spiritual journey, got out a little plastic A4 pocket, and I saw a wave in a magazine, and I got this pull to keep the wave, like the wave was important. And I put it in the plastic pocket. And, the pull is sort of like, when you go shopping and you're looking for a particular coloured dress or a pair of pants or whatever, and you're looking, then you see it, and then that's the one. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a bit like that, only it's got angelic energy with it. So it's this is part of the picture. So I put I kept all the hints, and then I thought, I just don't know what I'm doing about what this is. So my husband at the time was the chief executive of a corporation here, who was the corporation was one of the sponsors of a football club. And so on the Sunday, we went to a lunch, which was a fundraiser. It had all the footballers and all the patrons and all the kids and Santa, right? So we're all there for this lunch. And the person I sat next to was the chairman of a number of important corporate boards around Sydney. And I knew him, and he said, so what are you doing these days? And I said, look, weird as it sounds, I'm becoming associated with angels. Oh, he said, I've got an invitation for you. One of my mates, his partner paints angels. There's an exhibition on. I'll send it over to you on Monday. So I rang the woman, and she said, look, Archangel Michael is telling me to invite you over for afternoon tea today. It's before the exhibition, but come. So I drove over, and I have to say, Kim, that I walked into this exhibition. There were two rooms, one of Archangel Gabriel and his angels, and one of Archangel Michael and his angels. And the feeling in the room was extraordinary. I later came to understand it was angelic energy. So it was, she painted what's called sacred embodiments. She painted in oils. She would put a layer of paint on, and the angels or archangels would put in a layer of divine light. And Fra Angelico in the Renaissance knew this, all those beautiful paintings he did, so that the paintings actually radiate the frequency of the beings in the paintings. So I found myself not wanting to leave. I found myself standing in front of each picture, looking at it and feeling the subtle radiance of the quality of the angel or archangel that was being painted. And I knew this was an important experience, and I didn't want to leave because the energy was so beautiful. Anyway, I bought two paintings, left them there for the exhibition, went and sat in the car finally, and felt held by the radiance coming from the house. I sat there for at least half an hour, and then I drove home, you know. I thought, well, maybe it's not so odd for people to paint angels, you know. And she's sort of associated through her partner with the corporate world. And then I started to fret because I thought, look, I've been trained as a musician. I know nothing about, I love art, but I can't draw, I don't paint. What's the story here? So I was fretting about it. And this woman, the painter on the other side of the harbour, who had the exhibition, she phoned me about a year later and she said, you know, I'm coming over your side of the harbour. Would you like to have lunch? I've got a message for you. I said, oh, great. So I was walking towards the lunch thinking, who do we know in common, you know? And anyway, I sat down and she said, well, get your notepad out. Okay. She said, I have a message for you from Archangel Michael. He says, stop fretting about the watercolour. And he said, you need to do three things. Number one, get in tune with the paints. Understand which ones make beautiful colours and which ones make mud. I thought, yep, I could do that. Number two, get in tune with us. Walk in nature, be in silence, pray, meditate, call on us, get in tune with us. And I thought, okay. Number three, bring those two things together and paint us. Now, I walked home and thought, okay. And then they've since told me that I like things in threes. So the day after that, I got 3 phone calls. One said, oh, there's an angel painting exhibition on. Do you want to go? Okay. Number 2 said, I have a friend who paints angels. Do you want to meet her? And the third one said, you know, there's a really good paint store in Seaforth that have well-priced paints that might be useful to you. And I went, all right, enough already. I'll go to the paint store. So I went to this.
Enough already.
Yes, exactly, enough already. And so I went to the paint store, and there on the counter was a watercolor painting book and this picture of this woman who painted these extraordinary paintings where she threw the paint to help get the effect. And I thought, that doesn't require much skill. I'm going to sign up for this class. So I phoned her, and because she painted a lot of corals and frogs and things like that, right? With these effects of the watercolor thrown around.
Right.
And so I said, would you mind if I painted the subject I want to paint? And she said, no, that's fine. I thought, I won't tell her too much about this. It's all too weird. So I went down to the class and I painted a picture of corals and then a picture of frogs. And the third painting, I brought my pocket of hints for Angel Aloysius, because that was the name that came to me to do with the big wave. And this is the first painting of Angel Aloysius. And he radiates the quality of pathfinding through difficult circumstances and different circumstances, and giver of insight. And I thought, well, that makes sense because I don't know how to draw or paint. So this is the first painting. And this,
wow, isn't that beautiful?
It radiates his quality. And you'll notice that there's two different horizons. The horizon we see in the difficult circumstances and the horizon he sees that he will lead us towards, which is the right path through the difficult circumstances. And he says,
beautiful.
I'm a pathfinder. I assist people to find their way through difficult circumstances. I give them insight so they can make appropriate choices and choose right action.
Brings tears to my eyes just looking at that. It's beautiful. Kayt, so, well, first of all, let me tell you something. When a lot of people ask, when I do a reading for somebody, they ask to meet their guides. And when there's an angelic being involved with their guides or around their guides or they come in with them, I get a ringing in my ears. And right before you picked up that picture to show it, I got a ringing in my ears. So I'm like, okay, there's something very weird about this. And then the feeling you can feel when you with your art, it's beautiful. You spoke about angel arrangements when you were telling your story. And I just had a quick question about that, because are these, from your understanding, are angel arrangements, are they put in place within our life plan, or do they take place when we need them, when we're off our plan, or are they planned? Are they more spontaneous? What do you know about these angel arrangements?
Well, I mean, frankly, I've been delighted to find out about this, and most people have angel arrangements occur for them. Each of us has a guardian angel with us, and I'm happy to talk more about guardian angels because they're really interesting. Guardian angels are very valiant angels. They don't come with an agenda of their own. They come with our agenda, the plan we made when we came here, right? So they do three main things. The first thing they do is they help, and it's advisable to say every morning, guardian angel, thanks for helping me today, when you first wake up, okay? And so the first thing they'll do is they'll attempt, because they know your plan and your purpose, and sometimes, humans, by the time we get down the birth canal, we go, what am I here for? What was I going to do when I got here? So they hold that in their hearts, what our plan was, and they guide us during our day to assist us for the day. Now, the second thing they do is, and you've had this happen, I'm sure, you're in town and a friend of yours is in town and you don't know that. And your friend's guardian angel says to your guardian angels, get your human to walk this way, I'll get my human to walk that way, and they'll meet up. And we've all had that happen, right? We go, oh, hey, let's have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. I've been wanting to talk to you about such and such. Now, the guardian angels are the ones that arrange the meetups, right? The angel arrangements. They're the ones that do that. It's not in our plan. It's part of how they the guardians bring good circumstances to us and mutually beneficial situations to us, yes? And the third thing they do is if we call on a particular angel, let's say we call on Angel Aloysius, and if you can't remember his name, just think of the Pathfinder. let's say you call on the Pathfinder and say, I need the Pathfinder to help me today. The guardian angel with you will connect into Angel Aloysius's frequency and bring the frequency through your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies. Yeah. So then that frequency helps guide you through the difficult circumstances. So the angel arrangements really sort of happen quite spontaneously because our guardians who are with us are on the case to help us achieve what we wanted to come and do.
Right. And so can you speak to the difference then between guides and angels and archangels, and how are they different?
So a spirit guide is someone who's had a human life and they have the benefit of that experience that they can assist someone with. And they have a spark of the divine in them, just as we have a spark of the divine in us. And when it leaves, we die. Right? So they've died, they've become a spirit guide, and they assist various people. Now you, because you work with a lot of people, with your program, etc., you have a lot of guides. And sometimes if you're going to interview someone in particular and you don't know anything about the topic or something like that, you might get a few transient guides come along who say, I'm going to help you for this experience, right? Everyone has spirit guides. Now, an angel, by comparison, it radiates a divine quality. So there's a oneness between the angels, the archangels, and God. And an angel is completely made up of divine light, and it radiates one quality. And an archangel radiates multiple qualities. So Archangel Michael has said that an angel with its one quality is like the book in the library, and the archangel with its multiple qualities is like the library. So, for example, Archangel Gabriel, he is both the leader of the angelics and highly regarded and loved and respected. And because he's an archangel, he radiates particular qualities, and he radiates expressing our heart's calling in the world. And I particularly wanted to tell you and your followers this because it's wonderful to call on Archangel Gabriel and know his multiple qualities will embrace us and help us move towards our life being extraordinarily happy and meaningful and satisfying because we're expressing our heart's calling. So they're the differences between, and of course the archangel completely made of light. I had the great pleasure, I see angels sometimes, and not all the time, sadly, because they're so nice to look at. I was living in the city at the time, and I went for a long walk very early in the morning. And as I came around the corner, it was a suburb, and all the gardens were in flower. It was very beautiful. And I walked around the corner, and there was this beautiful frangipani tree. You know how the blooms fall off onto the ground. And I came in and I just stopped because it was so beautiful. And then about 3 feet away, maybe 4 feet away, and about 3 feet above the ground, this angel became visible. It came from invisible to visible. So what happened was I observed this human-like form in tiny particles of divine light, and it was an angel. And I stopped and I sort of bowed my head by way of acknowledgement of who she is and her presence. And she just stood there for a while. It must have been, around 3 minutes. And I got this lovely feeling from her. And so it was an extraordinary experience because it was the smell of the frangipani and the feel of this frequency of the angel. And so what she communicated to my heart knowing, which in the Bible, I think they call it the still quiet voice of the heart, and what people call clairaudience. And she communicated that she wanted to be painted in a frangipani tree near water, and that what she radiates is the quality of simply enjoying being in the now. And so I'd like to show you how her picture ended up. I'll just find it in the, yes, here it is.
Oh, isn't it beautiful? Oh, that's beautiful.
So she helps us with, well, she says, humans like a sort of holiday feel where they're around, they're being, and she helps us be. She helps us be present.
And what is her name again?
Phryne, it's spelled P-H-R-E-N-Y. Now, Americans might say Phryne. I'm not sure. I say Phryne because I'm an Aussie. That you might say Phryne. I don't know. I haven't discovered that yet.
Now, a lot of people are probably thinking, particularly like someone like me who's not great with names. If I just said I would love the angel, I want to be present and I want more presence in my life, I would love the angel who deals with the now and presence to come and sit with me. Is that possible, or do they have to know the names? I know people are going to be wondering about that. I don't know names and I can't remember names.
This is the good news. This is the good news because they say, look, this is the quality I want. I want being able to be present and I want support in that. And your guardian angel will get that angel. Now, if the angel's busy that day and there's a lot of people calling on her, then your guardian will simply bring the frequency from her and you'll have her quality radiating through you and your day. And this is interesting, your question, because she says, you know, if you align with the breath, and if you take a number of moments per day to just become aware of the breath, when you're in the breath and being aware of the breath, what she can do is link the small self with the higher self. So there's this oneness through the small self to the higher self, to God. And we get that lovely feeling of simply being in the moment and being present.
That's great. I think a sigh of relief will go through through everybody, thinking, oh goodness, I don't have to remember names. I can just ask and I can be one with the breath, and I'm there and I connected. That's so wonderful. And I have to ask you something that I'm curious about. You know, we've had, you know, paintings of angels through, you know, for hundreds and hundreds of years. And why is it that they've been interpreted, or by different artists, especially now that you paint, as having wings? Because I haven't heard you talk about angel wings, and why do you think they're interpreted with wings?
Well, what they've told me is that when they first started appearing to people and to depict them, people started to show that they move, right? To show that they fly. People started depicting them with wings. And to some people, they did appear with wings, but they actually don't need them, they say. They can move of their own volition, you know, and be wherever, yeah. And so that's how it works. And you'll note with these pictures, they said, we don't want wings when they give me the brief, what they wanted. You know, I'm still in the shock of needing to learn to draw and paint. We don't want wings, because we don't need them. We would like to be painted with a physical body so humans know we're user-friendly. And we would like a halo to represent our divinity, because we're divine beings, and a soul star above our head to represent the knowledge we bring, each one brings about their quality and our connection on high to God. So they said how they, you know, want to be depicted. And what I think is really funny, Kim, is that people think angels are sort of wafty and a bit high woo, not very specific. They are the most practical and specific beings around. They're more specific than we are, and that's saying something. Like when I was painting Angel Cassandra, she told me, I got all the hints for her painting, and then she wanted long blondish hair, and she wanted to be painted with a clip in her hair, right? And bear in mind, what I have to do is be in total present, 100% present, 100% my attention here. And then I have to be the space for grace to arrive through me into the painting and still draw and paint at the same time. Anyway, all of the painting had been done except for the clip. And I said to the air, because I mostly can't see them, sometimes they show themselves a little bit. I said to the air, Angel Cassandra, and I should explain one other thing. To put their frequency into the painting, the angel comes and stands in the air near me and shines its light into my third eye, my heart, and my hands. So the frequency goes into the painting. And there used to be a little group up here, which was a lot of sparkling light. You know, it's like the air particles sparkle. And I knew it was a group, and I wasn't sure what they did. You know, I thought, well, maybe they come in and paint or draw or something. No, it was later explained to me, which I think is very funny. They're a group of angelic or angel art directors. And they discuss with the angel, does that line, let's say I put the tracing paper out and I'm drawing the picture, does that line Kate has drawn totally represent the quality of that angel? And they discuss that. Now, if I have got the line quite right, I'll get a no in my heart. So I'll just erase it. If it's partly right, I'll just get the feeling to
Someone
draw
is at the front door.
draw it with a curve, you know. So that's sort of how it happens. Anyway, now I've completely got lost and forgotten what you asked me. Oh, one thing I wanted to say. One thing I wanted to say is, oh, Cassandra, right.
Yeah.
Just reminded me.
I say the clip.
Clip. So I said to the air, because all of this was going on, right? And I said to the air, to Angel Cassandra, who I knew was there, because I could feel her frequency subtly coming through me. I said, Angel Cassandra, you're a divine being. You look like a 12-year-old with a clip in your hair. Do you really need the clip? And there was completely no response. So I said it again, and then I got the feeling like she wants the clip. Right, put the clip in. And about 6 months later, a girlfriend of mine who's clairvoyant and clairaudient particularly came to visit for a cup of tea, and she said, have you painted someone called Cassandra or Cassie or something? And I said, yes, Angel Cassandra. She said, well, I've got a message for you. Angel Cassandra said to say that the clip is about keeping the hair out of the eyes so you see clearly, because clarity matters.
Oh, how interesting.
Okay. And I suppose she thought, oh, I'll figure it out. But,
right.
you know.
And that is so specific. That is
very specific. And when I was about to draw her sandals, I said, do you want sexy sandals or strappy sandals? And somehow we got through drawing the sandals, and I looked at them and I said, they're beautiful. And I heard in my heart, knowing clairaudiently, divine design. They've got a great sense of humour, and they're very quick with their humour. And what I wanted to say, which got me off track, was that, you know, when people call on angels, it's their job to help. But we came here to be in a free will zone so we could grow as a soul, because Earth is the fast track of all the universal systems and planets. This is the place you come to if you want to evolve quickly, which is why the third dimension is so dense. and why, we have stuff happen that we don't want to have happen. And we have to learn to respond rather than react. And so we need to ask them, because they operate under a universal law of non-intervention. It's a free will zone. They can't intervene unless we ask. So when we ask, they can help us. And so, for people who might, those days when we go, give me patience.
Yes.
And the guardian angel runs off and gets the angel for patience, because we've asked for. And the point I'm making to your audience is that if you can think of the quality you need, let's say you're going to visit someone and sometimes they irritate you and you think, now what do I need so I'm really okay when I'm there? Oh, could I have the angel for compassion, please, assisting me today? Or the angel for wisdom. If one thinks of the quality, that's enough for the guardian to be able to get the angel you need.
And is there an angel that is associated with all human qualities?
Well, they seem to, the way how the system works, they seem to have split it up. So the archangels, each archangel, which has multiple qualities, also has multiple angelic choirs under them that report to them. So to my knowledge, the only being that has access to all the qualities all the time is God. Because the angels and archangels, as I've said, are one with God. And normally humans need a specific quality or a group of qualities. And if we want to call on God or one of the archangels, they're very good at just getting it sorted, or just asking our guardian, this is who I need. I need a bunch of qualities today. Can you get everybody sorted? And when I do angel consultations with people, they bring their questions for the angels, and often in answer to their questions, to the person's questions, the angels will give what they call a project team. And so that is a group of angels, and sometimes an archangel as well, to help the human manifest what they want to manifest and co-create with their angelic project team. So that's sort of how we work it at the moment.
Right. And I have to ask you about the actual painting. Since you were not a painter by trade, in hindsight, why do you think they wanted you to paint? Because you said you were involved in music, so why not music, or why not some other kind of art form that may have come more naturally? Because you're like, how do I even paint? Why do you think painting? Why do you think they chose that, or why do you think that was important, that it was painting rather than something else?
This particular choir that I'm working with, the angelic choir, they call themselves, and they're made up of 10 archangels and 67 angels. So there's 77 in there. And through time, this choir has inspired angelic paintings and sculptures, because they know humans are very visual. And, we see something, we put a name on it, and we make it real. And so it was felt when this choir was first set up, way back in Mesopotamia in ancient history, that if we give humans pictures, they'll understand that we exist and they will learn to call on us. So that then there were all those beautiful paintings in the Renaissance, and now these ones that I'm co-creating, and no doubt others around the world, they seem to come and give these paintings at times when Earth really needs them. And given all this going on Earth at the moment, it's understandable. So, yeah.
Right. And it's interesting, because that's the same reason that I'll put up, even though I'll do readings online, and I'll do predictions and things like that. When I put the orb videos up that I get with the orbs in the room, that's the reason that I put that up, because I know that some people seeing is believing. So that you know, that will, if they're right at the threshold of believing that there's something that may put them right over the edge, that they're like, okay, I'm convinced, you know. So is it the same kind of principle
It's
as
the
just
same
seeing
kind
this?
of principle. They're saying we're giving you pictures, we do exist, we know we're invisible, and we know you're visible, but not everybody is visible. We're mostly invisible. And inherent in your question was, why me? You know, because I didn't know how to paint. I love paintings, but I didn't know how. And first of all, I thought, oh, I think they just think you'll do, you know, because I'm known, you know, you probably do this too. I have my list of things to do every day. I get great pleasure from putting the checks off and putting a line through what I've done, you know. She'll probably get on with it. I thought, oh, it's just because I get things done. And then later, and sort of you'll do, you know. And later, when I thought about it, I thought, maybe before I came, I agreed to do this. And it was just a shock to me as a human when it happened. So
it's fascinating. And it's so, you know, as far as angels that we can call on, can you talk about just maybe a few angels that it might be just useful for us to know, or that we might just find interesting, kind of what they, who they are and kind of what their traits are? Just, you know, just a few off the top of your head that maybe, I know you've mentioned Cassandra and Archangel Michael and Finney. And so are there any others that you think it might just be useful for us to know about that maybe we don't?
okay, so I think this one's very important. Angel Astarte, Astarte. If you can't remember that, it doesn't matter. She's the
Okay.
angel for happiness, the
Oh.
healing of grief, and the removal of sorrow.
Mm.
So if you wake up in the morning, you think, oh, then just call on the angel for happiness, and your guardian will get her frequency, right?
Mm.
Also, for those people who've been through the loss of a job or a business or a heartbreak or someone dying, Astarte says that humans hold on to grief for far too long.
Mm.
So apart from being the angel of happiness, she heals grief and she removes sorrow. And so I send out posts on Instagram and Facebook. I prefer Instagram because I can have my cup of tea in the morning and answer people. And I had a phone call from a woman down the coast who had seen a post about Angel Astarte. And this woman was very, very sad at the death of her father and in deep sorrow. So she started to call on this angel. And it took about 6 months. And then she phoned me and said, can I have an angel consultation, please? Because I was in deep sorrow and I'm not anymore. Because I know this angel helped me. I called on her every morning. And now I feel like I can celebrate my father, which I'm sure he's much happier about. So I think she's a good one to know about, the angel of happiness, healing grief, and removing sorrow. Another one that people would like to know about, I'm sure, is Angel Amore. Now, Amore. Personally, I call him the RSVP angel. So if you want to meet someone, you know, apart from going online, Angel Amore arranges chance meetings. He says it's the spice and spontaneity of that first connection with someone you're really attracted to, and there's just a bit of flirting going on and a bit of, ooh, this feels great. So Angel Amore sets that up. And when I was calling on him at one point, I was standing in line at the patisserie, and standing next to me was a really good looking guy. And we started to chat while we were waiting in the line. And then he said, do you want to have a cup of coffee? I said, sure. And we went out for about 18 months. Now, that's the sort of thing Amore does. They're chance meetings. And he sets that up. And he also, you know, it could be if you're going to the post office or if you're on the bus next to someone or something like that. Okay, so it can just sort of be alert is what they're saying to say to it.
Right.
Just be on the case with this. And the other thing he does, you know, you sometimes see people at dinner parties or friends, you know, they're in relationship, they've been partners for years, and they've even been married, but they look sort of lonely. And that's because they're connected on a personality level, but not on a spiritual level. So what Amore does is he looks at, when you call on him, he looks at, are you and this person going in the same direction on a soul level? And then he looks at the personality level and he gets all that aligned. So
Right.
it's a very good one to know about. And there's an angel for encouragement. Angel and Clara. You know, those days I think, will I get through today? I don't know. I'm a bit worried about this. Oh, and there's another good one I've just been reminded of. And it's the angel of encouragement. You know, there's times we're supposed to take that step and we think, I'll start on Monday, or and we hesitate. Yes. The angel for encouragement, the angel for encouragement sort of nearly gives us a push in the back and puts us in touch with our courage. And she, you know, and she just keeps doing that till we get to our goal. And when she was painted, she wanted to be painted with very, very long hair, so you can't see the ends of her hair.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But she wanted people to.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
She wanted people to know that when you call on her, she's there for you. Like her hair, it goes on forever as long as you call on her every morning. So that's a good angel to know about, the angel for encouragement. And there's one I've just been reminded of, because humans, you know, we can procrastinate.
Yes.
You know, and for me, if I'm procrastinating, I find myself making a cup of tea. You know, I just make a cup of tea. So there is an angel called Angel Nathaniel, Nathaniel. And Nathaniel, he is the angel for integrity in action. And, you know, that's a lot to remember. But what I find is if I call on Nathaniel, or if you wanted to say the angel that gets me into action, gets me, right? I've learned to call on him and then to start the first step of whatever it is I've been avoiding or procrastinating about. And his quality running through us, pretty soon we're in the zone, we're in our mastery, we're doing whatever the thing is, and we're feeling great about what we're doing. So he's the angel for integrity in action. You can say, please get the angel who'll get me on the case and help me get on with this. And the guardian will get Angel Nathaniel. They've just prompted me to say this because there must be a number of people who need it. And this is Nathaniel.
You know, it strikes me that the interpretations of the angels that you draw they're very contemporary. And is that to make us kind of relate to them as like they're here now, they're with us now?
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
and for example, Nathaniel, he's a bit of a dude. He wanted no sleeves, have muscly arms like he looked like he was going to the gym. He wanted to be leaning on something so his feet are actually above the ground, which is appropriate. And, you know, he wanted this lime green coloured singlet under his little blue top thing. So he, you know, very, for me, he looks like he's going to the gym, but it's, that's what he wanted. He's got a great sense of humour, and he's just like a bit of a dude in that outfit, right?
But it's so fascinating how they want to be pictured and how they want to be seen. It's so interesting to me. And when you have well, let me ask you about something, because I had very interesting, and you're the perfect person to ask because I didn't fully understand it at the time. And I had a woman who I was doing a personal reading for, and she had had a kind of a long illness. She's a painter. And in her reading, I was told that she was going to be using the illness that she had had to be able to paint differently, and that she would have that her paintings would actually have healing properties in them. And so when people looked at the paintings, they would actually feel the healing properties coming from the paintings. Would that be, first of all, what angel would be involved in something like that? But also, is that something that is that a way that perhaps angels are reaching us and helping us, that we may not realize? And I guess it doesn't matter if we realize exactly what it is, but is that a way that they would be reaching us now? Especially, I think of stuff like after COVID and things like that, where there are lots of people trying to heal mentally, physically, emotionally. Yeah, so could you speak to that a little bit? Because at the time I didn't fully understand it, but now I think, oh, of course, they'd be, that maybe angels, this is the way they're kind of working themselves into our lives to help us.
They're certainly working themselves into our lives to help us. And from each of these paintings, qualities do come that radiate into us, and we feel better. And sometimes
Right.
other healings occur. So that happens with the paintings. It also happens when people do an angel consultation with the angels and myself. They give a clearing. Someone may have been ill, or still be ill, or have been through some trauma, and we hold it all around us and in our bodies often. And they do this massive clearing. And I'm often sent little emails after someone's had a consultation to say, oh, I just feel so much better today. I woke up happy today. Now, there's one angel. I had a very interesting experience. I had an exhibition, and I found this woman standing in front of an angel called Angel Leaf. She's the angel who heals the spirit of the trees and helps them grow and blossom. And she's also the angel who helps us through difficult circumstances. She helps us to adapt, so we come out the other side being okay, which is a form of healing, as you would appreciate. And I found this woman just standing there with sort of loving tears looking at this painting. Gee, I wonder what this is about. And I said, hi, how you doing? And she said, I love this angel. I said, oh, that's good. She said, I know she works with the spirit of the trees, but I had cancer, and I kept getting these pictures of burnt out trees coming to me. And it was a burnt out tree. And then when somehow this angel came to help me, because I call on angels, the woman said, this angel came to help me, the picture of the trees started to change. It went from burnt out to looking like there was some green and some new shoots, to finally a fully fledged healthy tree. And she said, this angel did assist me to adapt to difficult circumstances, and I'm healthy now.
My gosh.
It doesn't always have to be about health. It can be about something else, breaking up with someone. Help me adapt to this. So if we just ask for the angel who looks after the trees and helps us adapt, she's the one who assists.
That was gorgeous. I just love the colors. Beautiful. And did they tell you, Kayt, you'll be doing exhibitions, you'll be doing this? Did they give you any hint of what this was going to all unfold, or did they just kind of say, just paint?
They said, just paint. And I was like, okay. So I thought I was just to do these paintings. I didn't sort of think further. I just thought, okay, they said do paintings. Okay, I'm doing the paintings. And then I went to a spiritual group one night in Sydney, and everyone was talking and chatting, and they said, oh, anyone who has any spiritual paintings they'd like to tell us about, or any books with spiritual paintings, we'd love to hear about it. And I said, well, I've been doing a few paintings of angels. And they said, oh, come and give us a talk and show us. So I came with about 6 or 10 paintings at that stage, right? And what I found people would do is they go, oh, I like the look of that one over there, but this is the one I'm to work with. And I'm thinking, how do I know that? And but what happens is the heart is drawn to the quality it needs.
Oh.
Okay, so that's how people recognize it. Anyway, when I had about 21 or 22 paintings done, this group asked me, would I please do an exhibition? And then a particular gallery said, could I come and do an exhibition? So I took all the paintings, put them around. And at the exhibition, which I really hadn't expected, at the exhibition, someone came up to me and said, when's the workshop? And I went, what workshop? And she said, well, haven't they told you about themselves when you're painting them? And I said, well, yes. She said, well, can you do a workshop? So then the workshop started, right? And then people started to say, could you do angel readings or angel consultations for us? Because I don't read from cards. I've been working with the angels now for 25 years. So I can tune in on that frequency. That's one of the things it's taught me. And people were saying, and people kept asking me for angel consultations. Yes, and I thought, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. And then by that time I was living up here in the mountains, and a friend of mine, Trevor Tanner, who had been a very fine guitarist and producer at the ABC, got Parkinson's and had weathered Parkinson's for 20 years. And I came to visit him, his partner Renee, and he looked really down. And I said, what is it, Trev? You're not yourself today. And Renee says, he's worried about his future, Kate. He's a very creative being, but he can't do what he used to do. He can't play the guitar anymore. Mm-hmm. So what happened was I opened my mouth and I was aware what was said was coming through me, not from me. And what was said was, Trevor, you will get a very good camera and a tripod and a little lead and go in nature and take photos. And even if your hand wobbles around, you can still squeeze that and get a good photo, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you will be able to put this onto the computer and you will make digital watercolors from these photographs. And you will turn them into paintings and frame them, and you will have 3 successful exhibitions. And they said, and also we know you enjoy music. So there is a program you can get on the computer, because he had so much determination, he could keep at it, and even if his hands wobbled, he had extraordinary persistence. And so you will get a program on the computer where you can compose songs and music for the guitar, etc. Right? And the last thing they said was, we know you're drawn to electric guitar. And there's a local band, a fusion band, that Renee and Trevor and I would go to sometimes. I'd take them. And the guys loved Trevor. And so they said to him one night, Trev, we're going to come and do our practice at your place. We're going to come on Wednesday nights, do our practice at your place, and you're going to play with us. We don't know how, but you're going to play with us. So he bought himself a very good electric guitar. I think it was called a Gresht guitar. And he had one of those chairs where you can move the feet and move the back, those chairs. Mm-hmm. So they put the chair into a V, and then they would get Trevor into the chair, strap him around the hips so he wouldn't wobble out, lay the guitar on top of him, and he would play with the band. So when all of this came through to Trevor, I thought, look, I'm in no hurry to do this. I'll wait and see. And they told him 5 years. I'll wait and see if it does. And sure enough, in 5 years' time, everything had become true. What they said happened. he had effectively co-created it with these angels. And I thought, and you know, we people from the corporate world, we like performance indicators, and everything turned up. And I went, okay, I'm in. If you want me to do this, I'll do angel consultations.
You got me.
You got me. That's right. You got me. I'll do angel consultations. So that's how it came about.
Oh, that's amazing. And I have to ask, I know that my the community that watches this channel will want to know the answer to this. And I could talk to you. I mean, I literally could talk to you all day. I just love this conversation. But I have to ask you, when we have big events like COVID, or when we have events like we had in the United States, a lot of political things happening, what happens in the angel world? Do they all come? Do some come? Do they come if we call them? What is the protocol when something like that, when these big events happen?
It's a very good question. I'll give one example because it may help the answer. When big events like that happen, mostly people, or often people, will call on God, they'll call on the angels and archangels, right, to help. And I know this because there's a beautiful mall in Sydney called Martin Place. And it's got these beautiful old buildings, you know, marble buildings along it and so on. And someone had dressed themselves up as a Muslim priest and was not one, and had terrorized people and in a cafe, and shot someone, and the police in the prospect, these people who were just going to a cafe to get their coffee of a morning, the mother of 2 kids and someone else, an artist actually, were killed. And what happened was someone put a bunch of flowers where this started, near the cafe. And somehow that touched the hearts of everyone. And pretty soon there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of flowers, right along. It was a remarkable picture, right along this 4-block stretch, this place, you know. And I went to lay some orchids. I bought flat-faced pink orchids. And as I walked towards Martin Place, I could see energetically all these divine beings up above the flowers, sort of sending love to all the people who were there and healing to all those who were there in grief. And I went and, you know, put the flowers down, and there was a woman next to me standing next to her little son, and he was putting some lilies, and he was addressing it to the children of the mother, a barrister who had died, to say, I hope you'll be okay without your mum. Or you'd say your mom, yeah. And an office worker standing next to me, just, you know, inwardly sort of honouring those. And then I could see and feel in her and in the people just this purity of heart of somehow wanting to help. And at that point, I looked up and I could really see how many divine ones were helping. And there were all sorts of people bringing flowers, like there were a group of Muslim women in their outfits, bringing flowers, and with a little note. One said, not in my name. You're not doing this in my name. I want the best for everyone. And there was a lovely thing happened. There was a Muslim woman travelling home on the train after this, and she took her, no, it was before this, she took her headscarf off so she wouldn't be accosted on the train or anything. And this young blonde woman had moved across and sat next to this woman and said, makes me weepy just thinking of it, and said to this woman, put your headscarf on, I will ride with you. And there were 6 people standing in line holding hands with I will ride with you printed on their T-shirts, you know. So what happened, instead of intimidating us and frightening us, it brought people together. It made people, I asked one of the angels who went, and she said that it brought people together and their hearts united and in a oneness and with love. And I should mention this angel for you. Her name is Angel Florence. Now, if you have kids or parents, she's very good, you know, and it can get a bit tricky. Angel Florence is the angel for friendships. And so if you're going to an event and you want people to get on and you think, oh, it's going to be a bit uncomfortable, Angel Florence, spelled Florens, or if you like, the angel for friendship will do. Angel, the angel for friendship will do. Angel Florence, I don't know how she does it, but she gets people to come to a oneness so that instead of being political or a bit uncomfortable or a bit nasty or whatever, everyone comes to a oneness and nearly like a friendship. And so I call on her every time I do a project with the top team in a corporate, and we have to do a planning event, right? We have to work out the strategy for the corporation. I always call on Angel Florence, and people say things like, you know, that's the best meeting we've ever had. I think if you only knew how many of them. So that's Angel Florence.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love the flowers.
And
so
she's
beautiful.
The one, thank you. And she's the one who said, you know, it brought people together, which is part of her job. And she was one of the angels there because so many people had called for healing, had called for help, had called for healing of grief, had called for love, you know, that she was one of the ones who responded.
I think that's such an important thing for people to remember, because I think in those moments when bad things happen here, especially on a big scale, there is an isolation people feel, I think, from the divine, because it's negative. So you're feeling all this negativity. And I think hearing that the divine is there, they come and they help us through our grief and through our healing and through, you know, all of the aftermath of all of these things that can happen on earth, that can feel so isolating and so hard and so difficult. I think that's such an important, such an important thing to know and to realize, is that we are not forgotten here. They're absolutely here and helping.
And, you know, Angel Florence, the angel for friendship, did say that what happened was people came to, they were shocked, they felt isolated, and then they came together because they called. And, you know, the angelics say, look, you live in a free will zone. We can't help you unless you ask us. And so if I wrote it down here somewhere, if you want a little thing to say in the morning, if you don't want to, you know, and before I say that, you know, you're right, there's some pretty unfriendly things that have happened in the States. And please, although it puts you into shock and isolation, please call on the angels and ask for whatever you think is needed. Wisdom, kindness, coming together, anything that you think is needed for the country, call the angels and archangels and ask for it. And they like us to be specific, you know. So here's, I'll repeat it. Here's something you could say every morning. Thank you, angels and archangels, for being with me today in all the ways I need. I'm grateful for your assistance. I'll read it again. Thank you, angels and archangels, for being with me today in all the ways I need. I'm grateful for your assistance. If you say that every morning, you're sort of like angel insurance, I think, and they'll come and help.
It is that. I was going to say you covered all the bases in that, just that little.
I was all about this, you're right. And
Yeah.
however, I would add that if there's a particular thing that you're a bit concerned about, you can also always add, and can I have the angel for wisdom? Because I'll need it at that interview I'm doing at 3 o'clock. Yeah. And be specific, because guardians will get it sorted out. I love my guardians. They're so good at sorting things out. So yeah, that's a good one to just say. It's a bit of angel insurance, and we all get helped.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so, Kayt, now you do angel consultations for personal readings, and what else are you doing? Are you doing the book?
Oh yes. So I've actually written 3 books. They're all going in books, these angels. So I've just put a proposal to an illustrated books publisher in San Francisco, and I have put the proposal for the books and for a set of blessing cards, angel blessing cards.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
how neat. I love that.
Well, I'll hear back in about October, I'm told.
Mhm.
And so provided they, they're drawn to it, this publisher doesn't have anything like this, I know. In the book, there's a picture of the angel, a job description of the angel, a message you can say to the angel to call on them if you want to do it that way, and a story about the angel's quality and all the people, lots of examples of people who've called on that angel, for assistance and what's happened. So that's what the books are about. And, the cards, you get a picture of the angel and a blessing you can say. Like you could put all the cards out and go, that's the one I need today. That's the one I'm drawn to, and call on them. So hopefully next year, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Oh, that's wonderful. I can't wait. Can't wait for that.
And look, your viewers and followers are really welcome to follow me on Instagram.
Okay.
Just at Kayt Raymond, how the way I spell my name, KaytRaymond, or get in touch through the website, which is kaytraymond.com.
And we'll put all of your information in the description so they can just click it and they'll be right there with you. So thank you, Kayt, so much for sharing your time with us and giving us so much great information. And thank you so much for sharing your story as well.
I was so delighted when you invited me, because I think you do great work and you make a huge difference in the world. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Kayt. Thank you, intuitive viewers. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.